Okay, a document with 3 quick shapes. I can select them in the familiar way, single click, shift click to select more than one item, escape to cancel that, and I can draw a bounding box around several shapes to select the ones inside the box. If I want to draw a bounding box where I start drawing the bounding box when I'm within a shape, I obviously can't do that because it moves the shape. But what I can do is shift click and draw a bounding box around the other shapes. That works just as expected and just how it used to work in Xara Xtreme. Now, here's a document I prepared earlier. This one's only different in the respect that I have changed the paper size from the default and I've added some custom units. But otherwise, it's got the same quick shapes in the document. So here's my custom unit. Doesn't mean anything particular. And my page size is a custom one, and it's landscape. And this one, I can select individual objects in the same way, no problem, but I can't draw a bounding box. Now, the reason I can't draw a bounding box, I'm not getting the normal selector tool cursor. The normal pointer is not working. So what's happening is I'm getting a page height change tool instead of a selection tool. If I show my print borders, we can see that everything's still within the page border, so that shouldn't be the problem. And if I show my page size, there's a line here. So this is what the cursor is supposed to manipulate. If I drag that, I can see that there's this new way of changing the page height. That's great. But I'm getting that cursor regardless of where my mouse is. So unless I'm over an actual object, I'm just getting this page height change cursor. So that's a problem. I can't select items, not even if I do the shift drag. You see, I'm still picking up the page height. The only way to select using a bounding box is, in fact, to find a space where I am over an object and hold down shift. And I can do it now. Put the cursor anywhere else and I get the page height control. Okay, so that's the first problem. Now number 2, create a new document. This problem occurs so readily that I can't help thinking I'm doing something wrong or misunderstanding, because it seems that now with new documents, the default is for snap to objects to be enabled. Now that's something I never used to use or very rarely used to use on Xara Xtreme, but okay. But it causes very strange behavior, because if I try and drag to draw a quick shape, so I click here and drag, release, click here, drag, release. I'm trying to draw a rectangle and it's not happening. Or is it? If I now Control A, it says down here that I've got 4 rectangles selected. That's strange. Where are they? And as it turns out, I have got these blobs around the perimeter of the page. So it seems that every point of the rectangle has snapped to the page corner. That's not really what I would expect to happen when I choose snap to objects. I didn't think that snap to objects meant you can't draw a shape if you don't have any objects, but maybe that's my misunderstanding. Anyway, so let's pick one of them. Oh dear. So this does occur quite a bit. If you try and now move one of these quick shapes to the side, that is a problem. Number 3. So here's a document with a couple of layers. Now there used to be a button on here called Move. It used to be possible to select a bunch of objects and move them to a given layer. And I used to use that quite a lot. I work with layers a lot. So let's try that. Now I've found a workaround which takes a little bit more effort. I just was wondering if there is an easier way to do what I am trying to do. So let's select these objects and try and move them to the back layer. At the moment, I've got the purple shape at the back and everything else at the front. If I want to move these objects to the back, the only way I know how to do that at the moment is to Control X and then go to the other layer and Control-Shift-V, which works pretty well. There just used to be a single click way to do that up here. I think there was a move button. So if you can let me know if there's a way to do it the old way. Otherwise, it isn't so bad to have to Control-X, Control-Shift-V. Okay, number 4. Let's export part of this. We'll do it as a ping file, or pong, or whatever I'm supposed to say. Okay. Okay, now let's go to the quick access on this is Windows 10, got an up-to-date Windows. Now, this has always been a problem, but I used to just put it down to the fact that Xara Xtreme is, of course, a very old version of Xara, and I thought, oh, well, it doesn't know how the quick access works on Windows 10, so I kind of forgave it for this glitch. But this doesn't seem to be fixed on the new version, which surprised me, and this was one of my reasons for actually investigating whether to upgrade. This may seem trivial, but my file extension has disappeared from my export, so it is helpful that it appears in the recent files, but without the extension, that makes it immensely less useful. If I right-click on that, I can go to the file location. I can't open it because it's omitted the file extension, but if I go to the location, here, it hasn't selected the file. Now, normally, if you access things on your recent list, on your quick access, then it will take you to the actual file. So, for example, if I went to a folder that was full of 100 or 200 files, it has the relevant one selected. So I can quickly go to that one, copy it, or view it, or whatever. And of course, I should be able to double-click it directly from here. So it's very, very few clicks to view the image that I've just exported. Unfortunately, without the extension, that doesn't work. Okay, finally, number 5. One change that's been made to the interface, which is mostly tolerable, is that you've changed the keyboard shortcut for the selector tool. That's fine. I've got used to using V instead of spacebar, which is cool. And so I can go to some arbitrary tool, and now I can press V to switch back to the selector tool. So I use all these keyboard shortcuts all the time. I'm totally fine. V is actually really close to the spacebar, so that's not a problem. Now, I've noticed the spacebar is now the, what do you call that, push tool. One thing about the spacebar function was previously it acted as a toggle. You could switch back and forth between an arbitrary tool and the selector tool. Space now does the same thing, but for the push tool. So I can go to text mode, and now if I press space, it switches between text and push tool. So it's like it used to be, except it's not the selector tool. Now, I used to use this all the time as a toggle with a selector tool. You know, I would change the transparency of something and then flick back to the selector tool, move something, and then flick back to the transparency tool. But that doesn't work anymore. The V doesn't work as a toggle now, which is quite annoying because I used to use it a lot. If there is a way to do what I'm trying to do, to toggle between the selector tool and another tool, it'd be really helpful to know that. Thanks very much for listening. And if I've alerted you to any bugs that you didn't know about, you're welcome.